What up, y'all? It's your boy R to the A to the S, Yiggity Yes, Riggedy Rise, here with Proceed with Cause and Blah, and we made it, alright? 2015, 2015, alright? 2015. Today we're going to start out with a classic review. I did one last year. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to get back to it, so since we're in between albums and stuff like that, New Year's starting, might as well get started with a classic one. And we're going back to 1999. If you watch my Christology review, you know my argument that the year 1999 is the greatest year ever in Christian hip-hop, alright? I'm talking about from a variety of groups. Now, of course, you can argue last year was the greatest year, but the crisis says, but I'm talking about in terms of a collective. And we're going to look at Mark of the East Compilation, brought to you by Severe Entertainment. All right. Now, what my understanding was the guy Severe, I know he was like, I believe the producer. I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, that he had went into youth ministry. But this album, man, despite having some flaws, this is one of them albums that I consider a classic. And the reason I consider it a classic is because the influence on the culture. Give you a prime example. You saw on Andy Mineo's album, he quoted, not this album, but he quoted from two of the artists from this album, Corey Red Precise, the Matrix song. You look on Ayo, he talked about, like Corey said, you know, caught up in the Matrix. I don't remember the exact line, but something like that. And then he sampled Precise on Cocky. So that tells you the influence that this had on Christian hip hop. Where you see somebody popular, you know, the second most popular Christian rapper out now, and Andy Mineo, quoting these guys. Now, at this time, back in '99, the New York movement, I mean, it was there. Probably the most popular before Corey Red Precise and ADF, Magellan, etc., was the Dynamic Twins, at least as far as I know. I'm not saying there weren't other ones, but they were some of the earlier pioneers in Christian rap, and they were from New York. So they were, before then, they were probably the most known. But this album came about, and like I said, it's a compilation. And so I always love compilation albums because it gives you a chance to see a variety of artists, put people on to new artists, and that's what I loved about this. You know, at that time, I didn't know who Corey Red and Precise was. I didn't know who ADF was, etc. But this compilation album put together a bunch of dope artists who eventually became, you know, very known in Christian rap in the 2000s. All right. Of course, you gotta, when you think of this album, a lot of people think of the two, and I always think of the two. Number one, of course, would be Corey Red. Corey Red brought something different to Christian rap at the time, and in his style. I won't say braggadocious, but I will say he brought a battle rap type of style mixed with, you know, explicitly Christian lyrics. Before then, this type of style wasn't really that popular. I mean, you had people like, you know, the late great Big L, who had sort of that battle rap type of style with the slick, you know, similes. Like when you, and even later on albums when Corey Red did their own album, he just had this style where you'd be like, oh, he said that, just real silly rhymes, but not in a, you know, a goofy type of way, but just funny lines, funny similes, just an entertaining MC. And before that, for me, a lot of the East Coast guys just weren't that entertaining like that. But he brought this entertainment element to Christian rap, and as well as that battle rap type of style. Now, of course, you've seen that battle rap style in the West Coast, but in the East Coast, it wasn't really that popular. Um, and I'm not saying that these people were directly influenced by Corey Red, but later on, you saw people like Shaolin. You listen to Solo Crystals. That album had Shy was like in that battle rap type of mode mixed with gospel rap. Some of I would say Timothy Brindle style. You saw a little bit on his last album, but Timothy Brindle style had that battle rap type of vibe to it mixed with Christian rap. So Corey Red was really one of the first ones from an East Coast perspective to bring that style. So he was a pioneer in that sense. Then you had Precise with Milk It. Precise, I mean, you can say a lot of things about Precise as an MC, but to me, he just was just, the lack of a better word, professional on a mic. Like, you can tell this dude didn't just start rapping. Like, I remember when this was back in the day, when I played this album for my friend and he heard Precise, he was like, you can tell this dude, he been rapping for a while. You can tell he just not no amateur. And it was just his style, his confidence, and just brought a whole new flavor and meaning. Now this album brought something different as well. And this is not a slight to Cross Movement, but they had a different type of street element from an East Coast perspective that you saw in this album. Of course, you had somebody like Gospel Gangsters who testified and talked about the streets and stuff like that. But they really, really, really talked about the streets and the hood and stuff they used to do, selling weed and things of this sort. So it was really, really street oriented. And now you see people like, the Fire Life who came out the same year. You know what I'm saying? Bringing that from a Philly perspective, but they brought it from that New York perspective with that Wu-Tang influenced vibe. Of course, some of the classic songs on here will be It's My Turn, Corey Red on here. Milk It, Precise. The Epilogue, which is just dope how Corey Red and Precise went back and forth. Inspired. And the sampling on here is also something that made it dope as well. So Veer had I wish he still had produced. This was like his only album, I believe. But his ear for samples, like he used to sample, I can't remember. I think one of them was like The Wiz. And I think he sampled from that, like another movie. It might have been Cooley High. But it was like another one of those black 70 movies. He just had a real good ear for samples, mixed with that New York style, some of that Precise influence. Just real dope ear for sampling. And that's what made this album a success. Definitely check it out. If you haven't, you can hear it on Spotify. Just look up Mark of the East Compilation, and it'll come up. If you want to hear it, you never heard this album, you will see, the people who, if you're an Andy Mineo fan, you'll see somebody who Andy Mineo looked up to, alright? A lot of East Coast cats looked up to. And this album was the beginning of this style of street Christian rap, which is still around today. So that's my thoughts. Love to hear yours. Proceed with caution, boy. Coach Sutton, I'm out.